Welcome back to Balkan Sis. This is part 2 of my conversation with Balkanina. Hope you enjoy and thanks for listening.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really a fine line of balancing personal life versus social media life because a lot of my life on social media is my personal life. And when I'm not sharing my vulnerable heart, my personal life, it directly affects my views. Like I directly see a decline in views. And I love that. People are here for me and my vulnerable heart, but sometimes my vulnerable heart needs a break. Like right now, like you called it, I'm in a paralysis. I'm in a complete creative rut. I have been for a month. I've been having some like mental health stuff and just health stuff in general. And I'm just coasting right now. And what I do when I'm coasting right now is I've really become good at batching. So I will batch content on certain days. And on those days, I like hype myself up with music and caffeine and good vibes, good people. And even on sometimes, like, even on those days, sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this. And it just feels, and you can tell too in some of my content, like when I was having a hard day. If you compare it to a really successful video, you could see the energy shift. But as far as showing up in stories, I'm very random and sporadic, and I love showing up randomly and sporadically, but then I always have this thought in the back of my head, I have to think about my business. I have to be careful what I say. I have to be careful what I do. I have to think strategically. And I hate those thoughts because that's not who I am.
Mm.
Like I'm a very like free bird type of person. But I've really learned to treat it more like a business, but I still have to share my vulnerable heart. I don't as much as I used to, but I have to because it fills my cup, but it also
Mm.
keeps the trust of my audience.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Because, like you said, if you turn, it's an art and a science. And if it, like, whenever my clients talk to me, they're just like, how do I, it's just how it's, just show up, like, just be yourself. But, like, the thing is, if you don't know how to be yourself, if you've never sat
Mhm.
with yourself, asking someone just be yourself is this massive ask. Whereas for you, you've been getting to know yourself, like it's been such an intimate journey since you're 5 years old, essentially. Who am I? Where am I
Mhm.
from? Where do I belong? Like all these big questions. So that's really come of benefit. So at least something good has come from this, like getting trauma that we've had. What? Honestly, sometimes I think about it and I just know how to do these things. And people are like, how? I'm like, I don't know. I just do. It's just instinctively,
Yeah.
right? So that's really a big gift. And I'm glad that you learned how to channel it and how to share it and then how to make it spread. And that, how you said coasting, I love that you mentioned that because I think there's so much out there right now in like you used to mention social work, counseling, all that, but now even in coaching and self-development. And there's such a emphasis on the self. And you got to perform. You got to, like what you said, got to be strategic. You got to think ahead, like business. But that's not where the magic is at. That's one portion of it, but the magic is in the basics, which is what you share every day. Like even just
Yeah.
sharing it, daughter threw out her shoe out of the car. Like I just laughed my head off because I'm like,
Yeah.
man, that's just the
Yeah.
thing that chicks do. Like,
Like that's the content that people love. And I always like today I shared my daughter and I taste testing cupcakes together and people were loving it. But then I'm like in the back of my head, I'm like, someone is going to 1000% say that I'm using my daughter for views. Like 1000%. I'm having a moment with my daughter and I'm taking a video of it and someone is going to turn it into something toxic.
yeah,
That's what social media is for
that's
me. It's
hard. So
just
then how
not
do you
compatible.
switch it off? Like how, is there a switch off button? Do you have a switch off button? Or is it just more of a volume down? Is it more of a like turning it down and then when you're up, like how you said, like turning it on in those moments where you're going to batch, you're going to be creative and you just do it
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
part of it. Or is there like a complete thing where I'm sure it is for some people where they able just to go to bed and they just, that's it. That's not me.
Yeah.
But yeah, how is it for you when you go to bed at night? Is it still this thing that's swirling?
Yeah. Yes, when I'm in a toxic mental state, I'm always on my phone. I'm always on Instagram. I'm always looking and scrolling. I don't do as much because I know that scrolling and watching other people's content puts me in a really negative headspace because then I'm comparing and I get imposter syndrome. But
Yep.
I'm always in my DMs. I'm always responding in DMs and I love that. Like I love talking to my girls, but then I find myself being up late and this and that. But what so I wouldn't say there's an off switch. I'm always thinking about work. I feel like I'm always thinking of ideas, and I wish there was an off switch. If you
Mhm.
figure it out, let me know how to
Oh,
get it.
man. Oh,
An
yeah,
off
that's
switch.
the $1,000,000 question, isn't it? To any mum, to any mother out there. But
Yeah.
so how do you know you're in a toxic cycle? How would you
Mm,
recognize it and describe it just for people who are listening? Because obviously they'll be able to relate it in many different elements,
mm,
not even in a creative sense, from a work sense. It could be overworking, also overstimulation
yeah.
of other. So how do you know you've hit that point?
When I'm in a toxic cycle, 100%, it's usually social media has a big play in it. When I'm in a toxic cycle, I'm consuming content that I have no business consuming. I'm watching other people's lives, like what they're doing, how they're dressing, how they're parenting, and I'm comparing myself. That's when I get in a toxic cycle. Also, I know I'm in a toxic cycle when I'm shaming myself, when I'm giving myself, literally saying to myself, you can do better. You need to do more. You need to do this. You need to do this. And of course, the most important one, I get in toxic cycles when I'm not taking care of myself. I'm not sleeping. I'm not exercising. I'm not walking, or I'm not going outside. I'm not. And I think people have this like idea that self care is so glamorous. Self care is not glam. Self care is quite literally just putting yourself first. Self-care is boundaries, setting boundaries, like
Yeah.
setting a boundary with your phone, which is really hard. Like we are
Yeah.
addicted to our phones. I'm addicted to my phone. We can all admit that. But that's how I know I'm in a toxic cycle. And the thing that gets me into a toxic cycle the most out of all those things is consuming content.
Mm. But if we weren't consuming content, like this is because one of your followers asked you a question in your question box. I thought it was so interesting. And I love the way your husband answered it. Or something about it being like an unimportant job, or is it a real
Oh,
job,
yeah.
or
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
there's all these questions. All
Influencers.
these, if there was no Instagram, if there was no this, like how would people make their income? But it's you're clever because I've seen your website. You're not. I can see you're savvy. You're very smart. And then your husband was like, what about TV personalities,
Exactly.
like actors and musicians and all that? I don't like the stigma that it gets with it because what you said, people are just consuming that surface level. Oh, look, she's just making cupcakes with her daughter. But there's obviously such a big operation behind it. And now you have a team, which is awesome because that helps obviously a little bit to direct the workflow out from you so that you
Mhm.
can relax. So what has that been like going from being completely solo, doing it all on your own to now having people that you can trust?
Oh my God. My business has bloomed since having a team, and it has helped my mental health a lot because in order to be relevant on social media, you have to be all over social media. So my team runs I'm the only one in my Instagram and in my TikTok. My team does everything else. They run my Facebook, they run the back end, the analytics, my website, my links, all that. And it's been amazing. I think that if anyone is ever in a position to hire help, even if it's for a few hours a week, do it. Because once you start hiring help, you can literally grow your business so much bigger. I am so grateful to my team, and I feel like life has become more organized. I have been able to unplug a lot more, and I'm able to grow my business in different ways that I never was able to by myself. I'm having an
Mm.
event this year. I'm having a motherhood event this year. I'm starting a nonprofit organization. There's a lot of things going on. I'm writing a book. There's just so much going on
Mm.
that I wouldn't be able to do without my team.
Oh, that's so awesome. And that I wanted to link that back to when you said you're in that toxic rut. And I wanted to ask you, what are some things that you do to make yourself feel better? Is there maybe two or three things that you can really highlight? Obviously, in a professional sense, outsourcing, getting some help if you can. If you're in that situation where you can. Look, sometimes you're in a situation when you can't, but it's can you afford not to? Like, this is the thing. Even when, like, with cleaners, I'm like, oh, it's so expensive every week. But it's like, the
Mhm.
time that it buys me back, holy shit. So what are some things, I guess, inwardly and outwardly things that help you get out of that toxic rut and that help like your everything shower? I love that because I always say to my husband, I'm having a shower for a while, man. He's, what the hell are you doing in there? I'm like, everything. So you
Yeah.
should definitely hashtag that. That's like your like tagline. Just everything shower, where like everything
Yeah.
gets and
Yeah.
plucked, pruned.
Shave those toes, girl.
So
You
this
know they're hairy.
your everything shower is like your go-to. What's something else that lifts you up and makes you feel a bit better? Obviously, in a work environment, having it see there, that's great. And what about in a personal sense?
I know this is people are gonna be in roll their eyes at this because it's just so simple, but it's not simple. It sounds simple. Literally going outside, going for a walk. There are days where I just sit in my house and I'm constantly doing, and then I
Yeah.
realize I haven't stepped outside. Going outside and like doing things for myself that I don't feel guilty for. I don't feel guilty that I just made myself a bougie breakfast and I gave my kids cereal.
Mhm.
I don't feel bad about it. Don't who
Mhm.
cares? Also, for me, my skincare and my hair and, like, wearing makeup, those things make me feel so good, and not because I wanna look beautiful, but because they're like therapy to me. It's literally, like, 10 minutes in front of a mirror, and it's just me and the mirror, and I usually play a book. I love audiobooks. So I think finding something that brings you joy, listen to a podcast or a book for 10 minutes. Like, take
Mhm.
10 minutes. Your husband can watch the kids for 10 minutes. Like your kids
Yeah.
can watch TV for 10 minutes. Do it for yourself. So just doing things for myself that like may sound simple, but they're not. Like as moms, like your kids are going to you can't even take a shit without your kid coming in asking you to open a wrapper when dad's sitting on the couch. Let's be
Yeah.
for real.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that has helped me is shifting my mind from and this is hard. It's something that you really have to work on you can do all the little things for yourself that you want, but if you don't shift your mind to believing that you
Mm.
are worthy, like I truly believe that I'm worthy of self-care. I believe that I'm worth it to do my skincare. I'm worth it to go get my eyebrows done. I'm worth it to sit and do nothing and relax. I'm worth all these things. I'm worth the $6 matcha I went to have with
Mhm.
a friend today. And
Mhm.
sometimes those feelings of guilt creep in, and guilt is actually a powerful feeling because you can feel guilty and know that you are going to do better next time. It's shame that is tricky. Shame is when you make yourself feel like shit
Mhm.
over and over again.
But
So
it's
what we
also a
learn.
social construct. Like guilt is also a social construct. This is what I've
Mhm,
come to learn. These are social constructs. They're not in our inherited DNA. When I ask my mum questions, did you feel this way or feel that way? She's no, I never even thought about that.
mhm,
I'm like, what? What do you mean? You didn't feel bad that you didn't sit with me and play for 15 minutes every single day? The recommended amount of time that I should be connecting with my child before school or after school or whatever. But she's just like, no, because she had this village. She had my mother-in-law, like her mother-in-law living upstairs. She had aunts, uncles. Whenever she says she'd get some feelings or thoughts, my neighbor would come by, would have a coffee. Your great grandma would bring me sugar cubes. You kids would do something funny and bam, I'm out of my funk. And I'm like, yeah,
mhm,
that's what happens when you have a village. That's what happens when you live next door to each other. Do you know what I
mhm.
mean? But we don't live that way anymore. So why do we
No.
feel guilty? Why do we feel ashamed? Shame is one of the lowest human emotions that you can feel is shame. And you
Yeah,
feel
absolutely.
ashamed of whatever. But really, when you think about why you're feeling that way, it's not even because you've done anything wrong or because the way I see guilt is like I've hit someone, I'm in a car, I've had a car accident and I've purposely driven off. Yeah, I
Mhm.
should feel guilty because you've done a shit thing. You've been a bad person. You hurt somebody, then you've driven off. You've not taken accountability. That's guilt. You should feel guilty, right? Or you've cheated on your
Absolutely.
husband. Oh, okay, I'm not going to judge. But you shouldn't feel guilty that you're literally putting the TV on for your kids or you're giving them the iPad so that you can go and like to the toilet or pluck your eyebrows and wash your hair. It's so important to highlight that because I think people go motherhood and guilt
Mhm.
and they just think it goes hand in hand, but it doesn't. So for you, did you notice a direct correlation that when you started working on yourself, like when you were in therapy, you started to raise your awareness, I guess you could say. Did you notice a correlation that everything else in your life was also getting better? Like you were making more money, you were getting a big attraction, your community was growing. So did you notice that every time you look after your inner health, that it
Yeah.
was actually a positive side effect onto everything else?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Taking care of myself has made everything in life better. One thing that is tricky though is the more boundaries I've set, the more people I have pissed off. And they say
Oh, yeah.
the people that get pissed off about your boundaries are the people that needed those boundaries set the most. And I've pissed my mom off. I've pissed people on
Mm.
the internet off. But the thing is, you can be respectful and set a boundary at the same time. So, yes, although making my mental health a priority and working on myself, and I continue to every day, I think I will forever, like you said, we're like onions, like we're constantly
Yeah.
peeling back these things and trying to get to the root of who we are. And we might not even ever get there in our lifetime. But yes, everything in my life is better. I'm a better mom, I'm a better wife, I'm a better friend. And I've literally had my best friend say to me, "You are just the most incredible version of you that I've ever met." And
Mm.
I love that. But again, like I said, people I've gotten really good at setting boundaries and that pisses people off, but I've also learned to just let it go and that's on them to do.
Dude, I feel you. I feel you 110% because every action has a reaction and it's like a domino effect. So when you start to people say set boundaries, but hang on, if you don't even know how to say no to something, how are you going to set a boundary with somebody else? So,
Mhm.
but it comes down, like what you said, that self-belief factor. I believe I'm truly worth it. I believe that I deserve this, like at the core. And that belief comes just through so many years of heartbreak and your heart and your soul just being stretched to so many, but you believe somewhere in there through your faith in God or whatever means people believe that man, it's gonna get better. I just know it. It's that little inner voice. So I'm so glad that you trusted that and that you followed that. And you're glowing because I think I came across your page a few years back here. I can't remember. Someone shared it. I think even Balkan Mama Therapy or so. Someone recommended it or shared it. One of the American Balkan pages, and I clicked on it. And I wouldn't say vastly different to who you are now, but you look
Mhm.
different and your page feels different. Like you are
Mhm.
literally glowing from the inside out. And I know people are asking you, like, what are you eating? What's your secrets? What supplements do you take? It's literally just like tears, therapy, fucking
Yeah.
help people to get fucked. It's all the, like you said, it's simple things, but it's
Yeah.
things that could take years to cultivate. And how is things with mama now? Like, how is your mum now? Like, your brother, obviously, you don't have to divulge too much, but I've pissed my dad off so many times. Like, so many times.
Yeah.
We've had some big fights, man, in the last 5 years since I've been a mum. But what is her life like now? And what is your relationship like now? How has it been being a mum and then also being her daughter all at the same time?
Yeah, so my mom and I, oh man, she's just like one of the most incredible women I know. She has been through everything and she's given up everything for us. And being a mom now and being the age that she was when she first brought us to America, I just think I get it. I get why she did that. She literally gave her entire life up for us and I would do that in a heartbeat. Any mom would. But I also feel sad for her because I don't know if she's ever processed that, and I
Mm.
don't know if she ever will, and because of all that, she carries a lot of trauma, and I know that, and there are a lot of things that she did as a mom that I look at now and I'm like, "I will never do that to and for my kids," and but that doesn't mean she was a bad mom, like, I'm at the stage of it's like it's different shades of forgiveness. Like, she never did anything directly to me that I need to forgive her for, but there are a lot of things in her parenting that I look at now and I'm like, "Damn, that's why I am the way that I am, and this is why I react and the way that I react because of this," and I look at her and I'm like, "She literally did the best that she could with what she had."
Mm.
And I hope and I pray that one day when my kids are 30 something and they're in therapy that they can look at me and say, "My mom did her fucking best." Like she loved us. And I truly believe with my whole heart, no matter how much drama, no matter how many spankings, no matter what, I don't condone that. I don't believe in it, but I truly believe that she did what she could with what she had, and I forgive her and I love her
Yeah.
and I hold space for her with that. And where she is now, she owns her own business. She's taking care of people in their homes and she doesn't like my boundaries, you know, but
Hang on, hold the phone. What? A well-done parent who doesn't like their current what guess what? Shouldn't have brought me to America then, honestly, because he was my dad and he had an Australia. Some people have a mother wound, some have a father wound. So call it whatever bloody wound you want, okay? It's a wound. And it's a forever work in process, you know, and what you said, I don't, I've learned about presentism. So I can't use present information on
Mhm.
past experiences. And also, I have not been put in a position, thankfully, to ever have to make those decisions my parents did. So
Exactly.
it's acknowledgement, it's awareness, and then it's a level of forgiveness because at the end of the day, you cannot change it and
Mhm.
letting it go. But letting it go doesn't mean that now they can just say whatever they want in their 60s and you just have to bloody digest it. It's not like I'm not 12 anymore.
Yeah, no, like,
It's,
I think she struggles. I think she struggles with that as a Balkan woman. She's definitely like struggles with the fact that I'm gonna put my foot down now. Like you can't. I'm gonna raise my kids the way I want to raise my kids, and
yeah.
I need you to respect that. And
Yeah.
my mom's response typically is, "Then just block me from your life." And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to. Like, do you actually want?
So my mom says, I'll just don't come over then anymore.
Literally, like,
Yeah,
why?
we need you. We need your food.
Like, why is the immediate response to a boundary her immediate response to a boundary is always, "I'm the victim, then leave me." But and then my response to her is, "I don't want that. But if that's what you want, then that's the ball's in your court. I don't want that. I love you. You're my mom. All I'm saying is, like, let's talk about it. Let's figure it out."
Oh,
And
there
God
is no
forbid.
conversation. No.
No.
Opening up the conversation, how dare you? That is the worst thing you could ever do. Opening the lines of communication to talk about any problems. What? No, it's just from zero to hero, black and white, nothing in between. And I've had to work on my mindset so much where everything in my life was so heavy, black or white. That's it. Take a side, no fence sitting. But that's not how life works, man. There's so many shades of gray. And my dad said about my son the other day, he cries a lot. Like he cries. And then my mum goes at the shopping center. She's like, Chatty, she's Ivana, why are these kids screaming? They scream so much. They just scream. And I said, Mum, because people aren't hitting them anymore. She's, yeah, that makes sense. It was like, it was just like, why are they all screaming? This, you guys never did that. You guys never. And I'm like, we did in secret. We internally cried because we knew more tears was more spankings. So yeah, we just tried to outsmart the system, man. But she just sees all these kids screaming, and even my son, he'll start jumping on the couch, and then he starts crying because he fell over. My dad's wow, like he cries a lot. It's yeah, boys can cry, dad. Like it's cool. You know what I mean? Like the emotions scare them, and every time he has like an outward emotion, they like throw chocolates at him. Diamond chocolate,
Yeah.
like diamond
Yeah.
cake, like
Uh-huh.
you know, just like
Yeah. Put the TV on. No, for real. My mom, that's literally my
but
mom.
I was not,
Like, for real. Take
not
all the candy. Here, take some money too. Do what
it
you
is funny. My dad gives him money. Like they were playing a board game and he cracked the sheets and my dad, whoa, I want $20. Like he's
Yeah,
20
why?
bucks. And Vito's like, Didi, I don't need it. I don't need it. And he's like throwing it back at him. And I'm so having such a proud parent moment. Like that is being so humble. But deep down, I take the money and run. But it's sweet that you mentioned that because I think so many of us children are going through that. And it's so unspoken. There's no space for it. And even your mum's story, there's no space for that anywhere. So you having a platform to share it on and even me creating this podcast, like that's exactly what it's for. You're just one person. I'm just one person. But literally there's an ocean of it. Like how many millions of, it was like 1.3, no, even more people displaced all over the world from just where we come from at that time. 2, 3 million. Like even just to
Wow.
think about the mass of people. And I know people talk about Gaza and they talk about even when things were happening in Ukraine, but I'm like, who the hell was talking about us? No one even knew us. No one even knows our culture. No one even knows our language. Like most people are like, where the hell are you from? You know what I mean? It's such a, and I felt like it was a silent war also because there was no social media at that time. So there was just nothing we felt forgotten about. So I love that you're using your voice to empower yourself and to empower others. I just think it's so bloody awesome. And you said you've got events coming up, you've got a book in the works. Tell us a little bit more about what's next, Juanita.
Oh my gosh. I'm starting a nonprofit organization to help families in need. So that's in the works right now. And it's going to be like my family foundation. And like I said before, without the people that helped me, I wouldn't be where I am. And I want to be that, not only just on social media, because I know I have an impact on people's lives on social media, but I want to impact people's lives directly off of social media as well. So I'm heavily involved in the community. I would love to get more involved in the Balkan community. That's so
Mm.
hard though. And I
Yep.
love that I've connected with you. I think I have ideas in my head
Mm.
now because of that. But like I said, I have a children's book and another book coming in the next few years. I growing my brand. I'm hoping to have a product line, just things. My podcast is growing. I'm joining a podcast network. So
So
just those kinds of things. Working on myself, continued self-care, continued self-help.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the journey never ends, honestly. And I think if there was an end point, why would anybody do it? If it was just like, okay, on this date,
Yep.
yeah, this is you're gonna just feel fucking great all the time. And I think that dopamine hit, like we're addicted to it, as a society. And I think like what you said, phones and social media have been a culprit of that, like instant feel good dopamine hits. That's why all these short videos are just that's what's
Mhm.
trending, like not any more long form content. So that's why I was like, I'm creating a podcast. I'm gonna fucking talk for. I don't give a shit if people listen to Andrew Tate, who's a bloody no one, who's a dumbass, okay? Like, who just says controversial shit that everybody apparently thinks. If he can talk for 4 hours and men listen to that, imagine like what good we can do with like platforms we have, all of us, even if there isn't a platform. I hope what people get away from this is you can do good regardless. You can
Mhm.
be a good doer anywhere. You can take. I have a little French granny just down the road. I bloody love her. Call her Meme. I'll take over like little sweet almond biscuits for her. I sit there and we just stroke each other's hands and smile. Like it's so sweet. But you can literally just do simple acts of kindness anywhere at any stage. And I think often we can feel so helpless and we see what's happening in Gaza now and we can just feel so, I was like paralyzed by that. I literally just didn't even know how to respond to that, to be honest, because I was like, I don't even want to talk about it. I had to digest it in my own mind because it was taking me right back to a place that I had worked very hard to come out of. So I really commend you on that and the work that you're doing on yourself, the work you're doing in your family, and the work you're doing in the wider community. I think you should be really proud of yourself.
Thank you.
You know,
No, that's a lot. Thank you so much.
and tell people where they can find you. Like, where can people find you? Where can they
Yeah.
connect with you, collaborate with you? Go
Yeah.
artists. So just tell
Yeah.
us.
I would love to connect with the Balkan sisters. I love hearing voices of Balkan women, and I'm hearing more, and I love it. So you can find me at Balkanina on Instagram, TikTok, all the socials, Facebook, and then I also have Mama Knows podcast. You can listen to Mama Knows podcast, and then on all podcast networks or platforms, all podcast platforms,
It's okay.
and
Just
then
expected to be late in America at the moment, and in
10 p.m.
that's the
I have a website, balkanina.com. So I'm always down to chat, collaborate, any ideas, send them my way.
that's awesome. I love it. And just to finish off, you say that you describe yourself as someone who loves to put a smile on people's faces, and you're like a built-in best friend, I would say, online. If you could invite any three people, living or dead, to a dinner party to share laughs and stories with, who would it be and why?
I feel like making me choose three people is so unfair. But okay, I'm going to play it like this, right? So my husband, he's watching the kids, so he has to bring them. So that's one person, my husband and the kids, right? Because honestly, my husband is hilarious and he makes me laugh. And my kids, I want to sit with them forever.
Mhm.
I want to sit with them forever at any dinner table. They make me laugh and I want to make them laugh. I want to make them feel like they are the most important people in the room. Okay, so that's one person, right? And then my mom and my dad. And the reason for that is my dad is passed. I didn't really know my dad. And I do know that he was an incredible person. So I would love to sit with him and just talk with him. And then my mom, because she is actually really funny. Like she's
That's
actually
actually
really funny.
even funny, like satire. Is it like that
Yeah.
underlying not trying to be funny, but in the end they are?
Yeah, like, she's hilarious, and I would love to see a version of her that's just free. Those are the 3
Mhm.
people I choose, the 5 people, but 3.
I love it. We can condense them because it's almost like your parents were a pair. So that's like one. Your kids are a pair, and then your husband. See, it's all
There you
good.
go.
I
There you
think your dad would be extremely proud. And I know we didn't touch on that much in the episode. There's just obviously like I could talk to you for just days and days. And
I
I really do hope that we get to meet each other one day in person as well. Like I'd love to come to the US. It's just been, I don't know. I don't know why. I think just being Balkan kids is like everything we ever consumed was from America, not really from Australia. So it's just this whole like American thing. But I think, yeah, it's just also what you're doing with yourself and the messages you're spreading. And I hope that, yeah, it just continues to grow, that your family continues to prosper. And yeah, I just wish nothing but the best for you guys. And our door's always open. If you come down under, bring some shorts, literally bring like a pair of like sandals, because you will never wear closed in shoes. Like when I see you guys wear like turtlenecks, like I'm so jealous. I haven't worn a jacket in forever. So our door is always open, and thank you, yeah, for your time and coming on and sharing some really good golden nuggets and some really important wisdom. And I hope that anyone who's listening gets something really positive out of it, and hopefully they can take something away. And even if they don't implement the changes straight away, like what we talked about off mic, everything we consume it slowly gets integrated at some stage. So I'm yeah, really happy that we had this conversation, and thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. So that was the episode. I hope that you really enjoyed it. And as ever, if you did, please consider sharing it with your loved ones and leaving me a review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. It really does make a difference to the number of Balkan sisters that we can reach with the brilliant wisdom that my guests and I share. Thanks for being here. I do viđenja.